Big thank you to my channel members who support what I do on YouTube.
SWEGTA!
What's up with it, vanilla face? Back in 2017, I acquired a review disc for Bully. This is what the person who sold the item to me called it, though it was more of an on-disc press kit. This bad boy was sent out months before Bully's release to at least one video game journalist in Spain, which is why all the documents are in Spanish. Now, what I find interesting about this is the fact that there are some pieces of beta trivia on here that the community has remained unaware of until today. You also have a little bit of Rockstar humor, like there's a Blazing Saddles reference in one of the screenshots. From cut content to character lore, this is something that I should have covered many years ago, but you guys know how life is. 1 minute you're about to marry Mila Jovovich, and the next you're crying while eating Burger King in a Bugs Bunny costume. Anyway, let's get into it. Number 1. Dr. Crabblesnitch's Dark Past. If there's one thing that Bullworth exemplifies, it's the vicious cycle of bullying, as summarized by this neat little comic book panel by bully concept artist Stephen Bliss. Everybody on campus is taking their pain out on somebody lower on the totem pole. Crabblesnitch yells at Peanut, Peanut yells at Jimmy, Jimmy yells at Ernest, and Ernest yells at dogs. Oh, also beta content poodle confirmed. But why is Dr. Crabblesnitch depicted as being so hostile to Peanut? Does he have an allergy? I mean, yeah, he's part of the greaser clique, and I'm sure the faculty know about their antics, but still, what gives? What causes Crabblesnitch himself to take his anger out on somebody else? Isn't he supposed to just be blissfully unaware of the dog-eat-dog nature of the Academy? Well, as it turns out, Crabblesnitch has a very dark past. In a document labeled Meet Dr. Crabblesnitch, we get a glimpse into his childhood. Many years ago, Dr. Crabblesnitch attended Bullworth Academy. He fondly remembers his years at Bullworth. The world in which he finds himself today is unpleasant. Children have no respect for their elders, and the proper moral fiber has practically disappeared. As a child, his father beat him frequently, and only allowed him a three-legged wooden horse as a toy. The children he sees walking through the gates of his beloved school today have never felt the stabbing pain of a rod digging into their butts, and have grown up in a world sadly besieged by games for dummies, vulgar popular music, and disgusting pornographic violence projected across countless television screens. What possibilities does the country have if these children are the future? How can children be expected to grow into adults with a proper mindset if during their school years they have not been subjected to a minimum of violence to develop their character? As for Dr. Crabblesnitch, society has failed today's youth, and he, from his little corner of the world, occupies a privileged position to put things back on track. What today's children need is a rigorous diet of education, healthy exercise, and discipline. A lot of discipline. After an inconsequential stint at university, Crabblesnitch studied to be a teacher and immediately applied for the position of history professor at Bullworth Academy. In centers such as Bullworth, a former pupil is always welcome, so the other candidates were quickly discarded and the young Dr. Crabblesnitch was hired. He has never left. Bullworth Academy is his life's work, and he takes it very seriously. As soon as he was promoted to principal, he tried to bring the school back to the levels of discipline and injustice that he himself had experienced as a student. After a series of complaints from concerned parents and child care inspectors, he was forced to modify his authoritarian approach and had to put away his sticks and paddles. He still keeps a souvenir paddle on the wall of his office so he doesn't forget those happy days. However, the warnings received did not change his mind at all. He still pursues offenders with fanatical ardor. A personal interest is taken from the moral development of each and every child who passes through Bullworth. Every time a prefect brings one before him, the headmaster proves to possess an astonishing knowledge of each and every one of the students' misdeeds. Every violation of the rules is recited in great detail. Dr. Crabblesnitch honestly believes that in this world, he is a force for good. His lack of sensitivity and self-confidence prevent him from seeing what is really happening in Bullworth. Unfortunately, as long as he believes he is doing impeccable educational work with his wayward students, he will continue his crusade. I love the fact that we get some background on the paddle that you can actually see in Dr. Crabblesnitch's office. There's also a hint at the attention to detail in the game, as Crabblesnitch will reference crimes the player has committed when admonishing you after getting busted.
Well, what have we here, if it isn't young Hopkins again? Time to look at your record again. Billy Crane's circus has been complaining about you. Imagine that. There are several reports of townspeople having to restrain you. I am shocked. It's been reported that you've been throwing newspapers at people. I see the police had to bring you in. Well, I don't suppose labor will really help the situation, but it's worth a try. I hope this will be your last little visit, Hopkins.
Number 2. Johnny was the king of the school. Prior to Jimmy Hopkins' arrival at Bullworth Academy, Johnny Vincent was the most popular and respected student at the school, aka king of the school. As revealed by the press kit, greasers are too cool to go to school. If it weren't for the fact that they love hanging out at the school auto shop, they wouldn't even bother poking their heads out there. Well, because of that, and because their mothers would be angry. From the looks of them, you'd think they'd be much happier living in the 50s, but we don't recommend using it to make fun of them. The coolest of them all is Johnny Vincent, the leader of the greasers. He's the coolest guy on campus, at least until he starts to suspect that his girl is cheating on him. Lola and Johnny have been flesh and nail for years, but Lola loves watching two guys fight over her. She likes to make Johnny jealous and doesn't care how low he has to fall in order to provoke a reaction. Alright, so something that made me pause when reading this is the fact that Johnny himself mentions this during his second cutscene.
You think it's funny, don't you? You think I'm a joke? Well, my little friend, I'm the king around here. Me!
I know. You're the king.
But my queen is a and now everybody's laughing at me! Well, not anymore!
To me, this always came off as the self-centered delusions of a wannabe tough guy who, to his credit, is kinda badass. But still, it didn't exactly seem like Johnny had the best grip on reality, but as it turns out, yeah, Johnny Vincent used to be the most popular kid at school, at least until Lola began cheating on him, causing him this massive downward spiral and loss in popularity. Now, let's get into some beta content, shall we? Originally, both of Johnny Vincent's first and second cutscenes were meant to take place by the auto shop on campus. Now combine that with this voice line.
Well, my little friend, I'm the king around here! Me!
Had this cutscene taken place on school grounds, I feel like it would have conveyed this piece of backstory much better. Gary Smith even points out that Johnny and his gang hang by the auto shop, but by the time Bully came out, Johnny had been relocated to almost exclusively appear in New Coventry. And this is not the only voice line that doesn't make a whole lot of sense given the location change.
Look, meet me at the underpass near New Coventry tonight.
Oh yeah, the underpass, I got it. So, here. This exact spot that we're standing in right now, you could just say here. Taking all of this into account, it drastically changes how we see the events of Chapter 1 and 2. For months, Johnny Vincent was considered not only someone you should mess with, but also someone you should respect. The preppies would of course not do this. In-game, you can also on occasion see greasers fighting other factions, but canonically speaking, the greasers were the most influential clique in town. Up until Chapter 3, Johnny remains the king of the school, a title that Jimmy would eventually claim for himself. It also gives us more insight into Johnny's motives for his growing hostility towards Jimmy. He recognizes Jimmy as a genuine threat, because while Johnny is in the process of reclaiming his throne, he's aware of the fact that Jimmy could steal that status at any given time. It's not just about Lola cheating on him, it's not just about his friends getting beaten up by Jimmy, it's also about loss of control and ego.
Ain't no one fast like me!
Really? So you could beat Jimmy in a race?
Definitely.
I heard he was pretty fast.
This little twerp? Give me a break.
Number 3. Jimmy's stepdad's plan. There's not a whole lot known about Jimmy's stepdad, but one detail that I never realized was that it was his plan all along to drop Jimmy off at the academy. Lately, things haven't been going too well for young Jimmy. At the end of last year, he was expelled from his previous school for various violations of the code of conduct. As if that were not enough, his mother is about to marry her 5th husband, a miserable rich man twice her age. Jimmy's new stepfather resents him for the stress he causes his mother. Eager to get rid of Jimmy, he has orchestrated the young man's admission to Bullworth Academy, where he will remain for the entire academic year while the newlyweds sail around the world on a luxury cruise. They both know that Bullworth is a landfill, but it's the only facility that will accept you almost immediately and no questions asked. Based on this, it's safe to assume that Jimmy's stepdad knew well about the nature of the school and, in a sick and twisted way, wanted to humble Jimmy by leaving him stranded at the academy for a full year. This explains why he's so smug the nanosecond they arrive at the academy. People love to talk about Gary Smith being the mastermind behind the events of the game, but it's really Jimmy's stepdad who sets the whole story in motion. So in a way, the stepfather is arguably one of the main antagonists. Oh, and by the way, we now also know that Jimmy's time at Bullworth is apparently only limited to a year. This means that not long after the final mission, he gets picked up by his mom and stepdad. Taking into consideration this newfound lore that we've just uncovered, it's likely that Jimmy's stepfather is the one who sent him the postcard you get after unlocking the photo album. The one where he's got his arm around Jimmy's mom, he's smiling and raising a drink to the camera. He knows that Jimmy is more than likely suffering at the academy, and he's taking great pleasure in taunting him all the way from Los Luanos. So, yeah. Fuck that guy. Number 4, Bullworth Academy Girls. Now this document is pretty cool because it's written in a diegetic tone. It explains some of the gameplay mechanics while staying in character, a bit like this trailer here.
As head of the school, I've been asked to introduce you to our glorious institution, Bullworth Academy.
The document gives a rundown of rules that all female Bullworth Academy students need to adhere to. Bear in mind that I don't speak Spanish outside of like 10 phrases, so just like the previous snippets that I've shown you, I had to use an automatic translation for this. Anyway, let's read this thing. Number 1, don't rush with the Bullworth guys. Don't be too easy. Guys love to work hard. Wait until he shows you how much he cares about you by giving you flowers. If he really likes you, he should be happy to spend a fortune on you. There are plenty of stores where he can buy a box of chocolates, so don't hesitate to ask for them. Sometimes guys will kiss you without talking to you first. Don't stop talking to him through the elbows and just shake his hand before kissing him. If at any time it gets heavy, leave. So this elucidates why the girls in the game, up until you've mastered Art Class 5, will usually ask for a gift before you can kiss them. They've been practically indoctrinated into expecting flowers or chocolate. This is why Eunice kisses you during This Is Your School. You know, for the longest time, I just thought she was grateful that I got the chocolates back from Konstantinos, but no. Although you're just being nice and retrieving her stolen property, Eunice interprets you handing her the chocolate as flirting, hence why she begins to slobber all over you for it. This next one is pretty funny though. Number 2, don't even go near Lola! Lola is a real bad girl, or at least, that's what she wants everyone to think. She almost always goes out with Johnny Vincent and hangs out with the greasers, but everyone says she's kissed half of Bullworth's senior students. She has a very ugly complexion, but she wears so much makeup that it's hard to know for sure. Chances are, she'll pass you by if she sees you at school. She's only interested in the boys, the bad ones too. Stay away from her. What I'd like you guys to do is help me figure out who wrote this. My money is on Mandy, seeing as how she often mistreats other female students as a way of elevating herself in social status. Again, dog eat dog. A good friend of mine, MSTVD, however, begs to differ. He suggested that this was probably written by some group or even the faculty at the academy. What do you guys think? Who wrote this? I mean, aside from Rockstar Games, obviously, but like canonically, who came up with this? Number 3, no fights in the girls' bedroom. Don't get into trouble in the bedroom. The girls of Bullworth have to be united and conserve their energy to study, be beautiful, and resist the troubled boys. What if you're gay though? Like honestly, no, really, like what if you're a girl who's just into other girls? What do you do at that point? Nothing? Gay privilege confirmed? Number 4, maintain a flawless complexion. Beatrice is very smart and sometimes helps younger girls with homework. She's usually in the library with many of the scumbags and continues to wear braces. Unfortunately, she has a lot of pimples and sometimes she gets cold sores. Yuck. She won't be mean to you. In fact, the other girls in her class are very cruel to her. So you're likely to find her crying out there. Avoid Beatrice's suffering by cleansing, toning, and moisturizing your skin every day. Again, this makes it seem like Mandy wrote this. Mandy makes fun of Beatrice for having braces and even calls her pig ugly, but as we'll see in a couple sections later, this may not be the case. Number 5, this season's look at Bullworth Academy. Checkered, if possible, in green. Bullworth's checkered fabric is timeless. Remember to always wear a clean and ironed uniform. Alright, so this one provides a reason as to why so many of the girls have green and checkered clothing. It's the hip new thing. Everybody's doing it. Except Mandy, Lola, and Zoe, and that's because they're cool. Number 6, befriend Mandy. If you exercise, you will become very attractive to the boys at Bullworth, and Mandy is the most popular girl in the whole school. She gets everything she wants, literally. Mandy is the head cheerleader of the Bullhorns and has been dating Ted Thompson, the quarterback, for years. So all the teachers love her, just like all the boys and girls. Okay, so this might give you the impression that Mandy did indeed write all of this. However, newcomers should try to get along with her even if they don't like her too much, because in return, they will be good with the authority. Unfortunately, she is quite a shrew and behaves badly with almost everyone. Everyone knows that she is too thin and she wants to be a model. Now this could either be Mandy pretending to be somebody else and masking the fact that she's behind all of this by calling herself too thin and shrew, or somebody else came up with this set of instructions for the female students. Number 7, study hard. Most of the kids at Bullworth Academy are either really stupid or think studying isn't cool. We do it better. Everyone knows that girls are smarter than boys and that we always get better grades. Well, you're not wrong, but you don't have to say that. There's nothing wrong with working hard. When we get out of Bullworth Academy and get jobs, we'll be the bosses of all of those bums. However, some of the classes are even fun if you pay attention. Number 8. When you're finally ready for that first magical kiss, the dusk light at the bandstand is perfect. Remember, don't give yourself a bad reputation for kissing everyone. It's important to be selective and make sure that the guy is really interested in you before you kiss him. If you are wearing braces, and so is he, be very careful. There's nothing more painful than getting stuck and having to go to the infirmary to be separated. Thank you for that, Rockstar. Number 9. Never allow guys to go too far with you. If one of those brutes tries to pinch your ass, give him a paw where it hurts the most and run away. Unwanted physical contact by any of the boys at Bullworth Academy is totally unacceptable and carries exemplary punishment and a visit to Headmaster Crabblesnitch to have him expelled! Prefects and teachers are on the lookout for this type of behavior and catch the culprits in no time at all. Don't even think about letting him get away with it. Translation: you can pinch asses in this game, but it's a big niche. Number 5. Newly discovered unused content. The Academy went through a lot of changes in development, and this word file, A Day in the Life of a Bullworth Student, helps shine a light on many small yet, in my opinion, significant changes to gameplay and environment. Jimmy wakes up in his bed, conveniently near the save point of his desk. It may be a good idea to save your progress before starting a new day. Maybe your weapon stockpile has decreased. Jimmy can use the chemistry equipment on his desk to craft some weapons, as long as he's paid attention in chemistry classes. After successfully completing your first chemistry class, you'll be able to manufacture M80s, for example. Before you leave the room, it's worth changing your clothes quickly. If Jimmy wants to impress that brunette today, he better look neat. Is that you, Mandy Wiles? Is this me? Who said that? Who the fuck said that? Also, I guess firecrackers are officially confirmed to be M80s. It's still a while before school starts, and there are a lot of yellow crosses on the minimap. Each cross represents an incomplete task, so Jimmy can head to the nearest one to see what trouble he can get himself into. Anyone who's played this game knows that missions are represented by yellow stars on the map, not yellow crosses. And before you say that this is probably just a mistranslation, check this out. I had a look at the file that contains almost all of the HUD elements, and I noticed something. The MI_mission texture is a yellow cross, not a yellow star like the one used for missions in the final game. You see that? It's a cross. In fact, MI_mission sec, probably meaning mission secondary, aka side mission, uses a yellow star. Vendettas, renamed to challenges in the final game, uses a red star. So I think what the document is referring to is that all the main missions were represented by crosses on the map. And so I think initially in development, only side missions and clique challenges made use of the star icons. It's a small change, I know, but it's still cool how a small remnant of this still exists in the game files. And speaking of icons on the map, not long before Bully was released on the PS2, Rockstar Games and BradyGames released 2 strategy guides. One of them is exactly what you'd expect, a decently in-depth showcase on how you 100% the game. The other one, though, contained a fair amount of cut content, including occasional screenshots where you can see 2 class bell icons being shown simultaneously. Now, contrary to what some might think, this is not a glitch. It's actually completely intentional. As this document explains, at 9 o'clock, the bell will ring at the entrance to class. All students are expected to be present without exception. Any student who is caught making steers will be severely punished. Sometimes it will be possible to choose the classes. In this case, the available options can be consulted through the steering control. An orange bell represents the location of the chosen class on the minimap. By the way, thank you to Dublies over at retromags.com for scanning this entire magazine and uploading them for the rest of us to enjoy. Archiving. Somebody's gotta do it, and the people who do it, they rock. There are a couple unused voice lines where Miss Danvers explains this class system to Jimmy, and apparently this whole thing is Dr. Crabblesnitch's idea.
There are morning and afternoon classes. You are expected to attend both classes at both times, but you may pick whatever class appeals to you. It's another one of Dr. Crabblesnitch's innovations. He is highly respected in educational circles.
I think Rockstar ended up removing this option because it allowed players to complete all of the classes way too fast. As for other cut content, when covering the errands, the document at one point says, make sure you're not seen by any prefects or the watchman in the corridors. Alright, so watchman is in all likelihood just a mistranslation, but still, it begs an interesting question. What exactly is this referring to? The original pre-translated term is El Vigilante, which can mean a lot of different things. things: watchman, guard, caretaker, observer, viewer, beholder, psychic, and even bird. My guess would be Mrs. Peabody, seeing as her model name is TE_Hall Monitor. Instead of having there be a super low chance of a school faculty member like a teacher spawning in, you would often have Mrs. Peabody patrolling the halls alongside the prefects. But again, pure speculation here. You know how there's only one arcade machine on school grounds, that being Future Street Racer found in the boys' dorm? Yeah, apparently they removed a bunch of them from campus before the game got released. In the late beta, you had the option of playing most, if not all of them, at different locations in the academy. If Jimmy were feeling lazy, he could just hang around campus playing football with his friends, or try to get a full score on one of the many arcade machines scattered around the school. The document then goes on to say, Bullworth is a large city where you can find many different areas and activities. There are various commercial establishments, clothing stores, warehouse, etc., and facilities, hairdresser, pool hall, tattoo parlor, etc., that Jimmy can use if he has enough money. Otherwise, it is always possible to do some part-time work. During the summer months, Jimmy can earn some money by mowing the lawn, or shoveling snow if it's winter. So instead of having this limitation in Chapter 3 where you can only do the paper routes, Jimmy could have made money by shoveling snow like he does during detention. I have no idea why they decided to remove this from the game, though it's possible that just like many other cut features in the game, it had to do with development time. If you guys want, I could do a follow-up to this video. There are details that I didn't cover in this one, so if you're interested in hearing more about this, let me know in the comments below. Anyway, that's it for this video. You folks, as always, stay classy. Peace. As some of you know, Ralph Gunderman, the actor who played Dr. Crabblesnitch in Bully, passed away back in March at the age of 77 due to complications of pneumonia. I just wanted to punctuate this video by pointing out that many talented people who are highly dedicated to the art of acting, including Mr. Gunderman, played a vital role in the making and success of this game. And as somebody who wants to get into acting myself, I really look up to people like Ralph Gunderman because he had this unique quality, his voice, that he fully utilized throughout his career to successfully pursue different roles, as an announcer, as a narrator, and as an actor. It takes a lot of dedication, passion, and skill to do that. He set out to become a performer, and he knocked it out of the park. One of the most underrated actors in my opinion. So with that said, I want to say RIP Ralph Gunderman. I wish his family the best. Thank you.